Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And this is part 5 of a series called 45 Ways to Buy Property. Now, one of the biggest procrastinators when people start property businesses is not being able to find great deals that stack. And because of that, they tend not to take any action. So I've developed this series for you so you can start finding property deals really quickly from the comfort of your desktop computer. Now, if you haven't watched part 1, 2, 3 or 4, that's going to get really hard when we get to part 40, then please head over to my main channel and click on the playlist that says 45 Ways to Buy Property. And of course, I'd hate for you to miss all of the future episodes, so make sure you click the subscribe button and please do click that bell notification so you don't miss all of the future workshops. Okay, so welcome back to part 5, and this workshop is all about how you can source some great property deals for free using the web property finders or portals. So straight in, we're going to talk about Rightmove.co.uk. And Rightmove is the granddaddy of property search websites. Rightmove is the best place for you to be able to find and compare property that's on the market, as well as boasting a dizzying number of property up for grabs. It plots listings on a Google map for ease. And we like to use the map feature to get a good feel for our chosen area and then tile the picture of the properties below the map, because we get to recognize the photos and what's available in the area. And you can do that too. Now, if you are time short, then maybe you could set up some email alerts. On the big sites, you're allowed to do this, and you can find your first property deal by simply doing that. Not all properties appear on all sites though. Estate agents have to pay for their access to the different sites, and you might find that this impacts where the property is being advertised. Now, it's not cheap for agents to advertise on Rightmove and Zoopla, and there are different levels of packages, but it is in the thousands. So you can set up alerts. Let's talk about alerts. So you can set up alerts across all of the web property finder portals, but you need to be very specific. Now, I've got alerts set up in postcodes for 4-bedroom houses at whatever price they work for me, and then another alert for 3-bedroom houses at whatever price I'm looking for at the time. So when the email comes through, it's really quick to assess if the property is going to work for me. I often find myself in a queue somewhere using my phone and checking my emails, and I can scroll through all of these emails and immediately swipe to delete them, or maybe click on the contact agent to book a viewing. If you organise your diary well, try to pick a viewings day, and it's easy to tap out a quick email to arrange a viewing for the next viewings day that you've put in your diary. The number of viewings that you do and the properties that you see is directly proportionate to the number of deals that you will get. So get into the habit of setting up viewings and then literally going to do them. There's no point in setting up a viewing if you don't bother going. And of course, if you're not doing viewings, you're not going to get any deals. So the next element is to find and contact all of your local estate agents. Have you done this yet? So to start in a new area and then get on loads of estate agents' books quickly, you'll need to get in touch with them directly. So you can search for an area or a city, and then you can select to view all estate agents who have those results in your town. Then you can email them with your requirements, and each estate agent has contact details, and then you can fill out an online contact form, which is normally the case, and then write your requirements out, maybe in a Word document, and then copy and paste this to all of the agents on that portal in your chosen area. It's really simple and really effective. Agents will then hopefully, cross fingers, follow up with you and try to get you booked into some viewings. Now, what we find is that sometimes if you're not specific enough, you might get spammed with pretty much every deal that comes through the books, but that's okay because one of them might just be that one that works for you. So the more specific you are with your inquiries and your requirements, the more chance you will have of being taken seriously and get responses. Now, the follow-up is really important here. You've got to repeat the exercise a week later and refer to the fact that you contacted them last week. So do the same thing the following week, because this is all about repetition and being consistent. So the next thing we look for is, well, draw a search area. You can use the site to draw an area of interest. And I have areas of interest in coastal towns. I love coastal towns, especially now. There's a massive appetite for people to do staycations and holidays within the UK. So I've got an interest in coastal towns that are limited to slivers of property, literally on the beach and on the coastal front. If I'm looking for holiday lets, I only want the properties with the best locations. Then if any new properties come up in these locations, I know that I'm going to get an alert, and this is the best way to laser target your areas of interest. So that's the sister of Rightmove, is the next biggest portal, and that's of course Zoopla. So it's another massive search engine, and in some areas this is the number one for estate agents to advertise on, and it has great keywords and a great keyword search facility. So you can see from some of the tips that we've been posting in previous videos that Zoopla tends to have more of an auction and refurbishment type properties on their sites. And those are the kind of things that we're looking for. Now, this is certainly true for my area. And my guess is that those agents and purchasers who are trying to save money pick only one of the portals to advertise on. Now, this means that in any one area, as long as there are enough potential buyer inquiries coming through, the agent will pick just the cheapest portal, which is probably likely to be Zoopla. Some agents will have both because some agents have got enough money to pay for both, and some companies do allow a package that allows both of the portals. But unfortunately, this means that we have to watch all of the portals to see all of the great deals. So if you are only buying 2 or 3 properties a year, and that's okay, then you need to watch out for these great deals. Now, these deals don't pop in every day, but sometimes if you're not there and you're not looking and you've not got your alerts set up, you might miss that one deal that could potentially be the best deal you have this year. Now, there are a couple of neat tricks that you can use on Zoopla. So the first one is reduced properties. Now, it has a search facility that allows you to sort by the most reduced properties, and you click on this option in the advanced search options, and this is really important because this will indicate that a seller is probably really highly motivated. And as a seller becomes more motivated, they are more likely to reduce their property to a rock bottom price to literally move on and get the deal done. Now, you can see a price history tab on Zoopla that will show you when the price changes have been made and when it was first listed and any other price changes on the property. There is normally a deal that can be done when you see a property being reduced in price. So this is a really great facility for you to check out. You'd think that the price is always the most important thing to sellers. However, price isn't. It's not always the most important thing. Some sellers are looking to get rid of the property because it might be in probate. It might hold sad memories of passed away relatives, or the property may also be in a jointly owned family structure, or maybe it's jointly owned by a couple who are splitting up or maybe getting divorced. The property could also be a problem to the owner if they can't effectively manage tenants and they are a landlord, or the property might be in disrepair and the owner may not have enough money to be able to conduct a refurbishment. The list is endless, and we've done motivated sellers on one of the other workshops, so if you haven't seen that video yet, check it out. So here's a quick story about motivation. Okay, so my own story. So my wife Lorraine and I used to run a pub that had a huge emotional response for both of us. Now when we sold the pub, actually we sold the lease, we own the freehold, we still do. We occasionally had to go back there and check the property was okay. Now we used to get quite stressed out about this and the prospect of revisiting it, because Lorraine, my wife, remembers a time when she was assaulted effectively in the pub, and that just created this huge amount of anxiety every time we had to go back there. So, you know, these properties sometimes can create a lot of emotional baggage, and just by being in the building again or close to the building. Now you can imagine that we would have been quite motivated, and actually were quite motivated at that time, to sell the property. But unfortunately, we couldn't sell the freehold, and we actually accepted a leasehold just to get out because of those memories that Lorraine had there. So we went for the deal that got us out the quickest. Now some owners will feel this way about their own property, and maybe the price or the deal structure is somewhat irrelevant other than quickly disposing of it in a timely manner. The next one is spotting negative equity and lease purchase options. Now negative equity is where an owner has purchased the house for more than they are now selling it for. So the price or the market maybe has dropped for whatever reason, and using the price history information, you can quickly see if a property is in negative equity or close to the last sale price if you're using Zoopla. Now they may have overpaid for it, or it could be a new house purchase from a developer, and often there's a premium on a brand new house. The seller may have had to accept to lose their deposit perhaps, or put in extra money to pay off their mortgage. The last purchase price is always displayed on Zoopla, and that's dating back to 1995. And therefore not all properties show the last sold prices, but if they were purchases pre-95, the chances are very high that the last sold price was very low. And often these properties have significantly increased in value. So lease options. A lease option has two parts. So firstly, you have an agreement to rent the property for an agreed period and an agreed sum of money. You can then let the property out to tenants for more than the rent you're paying the owner. And this is either on a lease agreement or a management agreement, depending on whether a mortgage lender is involved. Now you can then let the property to your tenants. So the second part is that you have got the option to purchase a property in the future. Now you've got the option to purchase. Now an option agreement is the option to purchase. I've said that 3 times now because it's not an obligation, it's an option. Okay. Now the option to purchase is usually at an agreed time frame and an agreed locked in future price. Now the price is locked in at the time the option is signed for. Now please note, whilst the seller is obliged to complete on this agreement, remember there is no requirement for the investor to do so because it's an option. It's a great way to start building up your property portfolio without huge amounts of cash. Now you could negotiate a lease option that has a low value input from you. So give the owner maybe enough rent so that you make a profit from multi-letting or using another high cash flow strategy of your choice, such as serviced accommodation. You can then put that money aside, save it, and use it as a deposit in 5 years' time to buy the property, or you can go and give the property back and use that money to buy another property depending on what the market does in your area. You can negotiate that your monthly rent comes off the asking price. Maybe some people do that whilst building up equity in the deal as you go. You can then buy the property, and if the property has gone up in value, you can refinance and potentially draw some money back down. Now, options can be used in many different ways, such as locking out a property whilst obtaining planning permission for building, maybe for land purchases whilst obtaining planning permission, and purchases at some time in the future. So why would a landlord offer a lease option? Now, this list isn't exhaustive, and I'd love your comments, so please do keep these workshops interactive. So why would a landlord do a lease option? Loads of reasons. Maybe they get current market value if they're prepared to wait, and they can get rental income in the meantime. The landlord perhaps doesn't want or need the money immediately. The landlord may be in negative equity and they may want to sell but can't right now because they will owe money to the bank. The landlord may want to structure the sale of a portfolio for tax reasons, and that's a really good one. If the landlord has more than one house and they want to be tax savvy, then they could structure a sale over 5 years, for example. But be aware, although you may have legally binding contracts, landlords could attempt to reclaim their property if they see market values increasing dramatically. So ensure that you commission your contracts using a solicitor, really important. So what else can we use the platform for? Let's look at keywords. So when searching for property in your area, you can use the advanced filters and keywords analysis to target properties rather than have to scroll through them all. Now, this will help you find properties where a bargain or a good deal might exist. So here are some ideas of keywords to search for, and these are things that we've used in the past. Number one, no chain. So we use no chain to find a property that's obviously not in a chain, which means that the property is not needed by the vendors to live in, and the funds are not needed to move on to the next part of the chain. And it's then likely to be a second home, or maybe a relocation sale, or it could be an investment property, or it might even be from a deceased estate. The next keyword that we would use is modernisation required, or in need of some updating. So if you're looking for a property to renovate, then these keywords will help narrow down your opportunities. And obviously you can check through the photos and find the properties that need renovating. And some agents know and will say in their particulars that the property could benefit from updating and renovation. The next keyword we'd use is separate units or separate flats. These are great keywords to use to find multi-let properties or HMOs. Often when more than one property is on one title, the seller has to sell them as one unit in order to get rid of them and to sell them. Now, we bought 28 flats on one transaction, but we split them into 4 separate titles, and this enabled us to get finance on 4 separate units, utilising different finance and different mortgage products. So it's a great way of gaining flexibility. The next keyword we would look for is motivated vendor. Now, you'd be surprised by how many estate agents use this language to indicate the seller is looking for a quick sale. So the next platform we have is called OnTheMarket.com. Now, OnTheMarket.com launched in January 2015, so it's still quite a baby. After 6 leading estate agents clubbed together to challenge the dominance of Rightmove and Zoopla. And it's really shaking up the online home selling market. So with rules for members restricting the number of portals that they can list their home on. So as with the others, you can see what properties are for sale in your area and how much they're being sold for. Now, importantly, some properties on this platform can only use one other portal. So you need to combine with Rightmove and Zoopla to get the full coverage of all available properties. Now, I like this for the way you can easily load all of the photos and scan through everything on the market. So On the Market is kind of, exclusive. There's a feature on the site which is the exclusive tab, which appears on any listing where the property is not on Zoopla and it's not on Rightmove. So you can also set up an alert to get the exclusive properties emailed to you before they appear on all of the other property portals. Now, I love this. There isn't anything else out there that does this at the moment. And the early bird catches the worm, so get the alerts and book in the viewings, because if you get them first before they go to Rightmove and before they go to Zoopla, you've got a really good chance of getting some really good deals. Now, in order to spot a deal, the grid layout on this particular platform is better than the others. It's fabulous. You can scan loads of properties really quickly, and the site really seems to want to push the properties for sale, and most of the page is used to do just that. So with low sidebar distractions, it's all about the property. So take a good look at the photos. Now, you can normally spot a vacant property by the lack of furniture and personal items. If the owner's not living there, then this may be a second property or part of a deceased estate, so the money might not be needed to fund an onward purchase. So you can get more creative with the deal structure and, of course, the price. Now, the next keyword for this site is oldest listings. Now, a feature on most sites is to sort by newest listings, which means all of the older listings are at the end. Therefore, you've got to scroll or click to the last page and check out who's been on the market for a while, which properties have been lying around for ages, but always remember that motivation changes with time. So here's another story. We got planning permission, refurbished our house and extended it to get a good price. Now, we lived in this house previously and we were looking to sell the property to realise the extra value that we believed that we created by doing the refurbishment. So we put the property on the market for the price that the estate agent thought was achievable at the time. Now, this property stayed on the market for about 12 months without one single offer. It was really frustrating. So after a while, I became, and my wife became, really motivated to just get rid of this property because we needed to move on, and we actually at that time needed the money that was invested in it. There was quite a lot invested in it. So in order to continue doing more property projects ourselves, in the end, we just accepted an offer that we probably initially would have rejected because we thought it was too low. Now, the offer was about 25% below the original marketed price. So that's me selling a property 25% off what we originally advertised it for. And the lesson here is that motivation changes with time, and you should always follow up every offer and every lead, because properties, people, things change, and you've got to be persistent with all of your campaigns. Now, I think that's a really good case in point, and especially if you've got investors in deals as well that need paying back. So the next element are online estate agents, purple bricks, direct to vendor. It's worth keeping up to date with how estate agents in your area actually work. Now, some agents will help advertisers get on the market and on the portals, but leave the owner to organise the viewings, and some will sort out the properties. Purple Bricks is one, but there are others, and there's small independents that are out there doing a similar thing. Now, there are a number of agents now that literally are valuation and advertising agents only. The vendors themselves actually organise and conduct the viewings. Purple Bricks is an online estate agent, and the beauty of this model is that you get directly to the vendor straight away, particularly if you can see from the photos that the house is empty. The vendor is likely to be conducting the viewings, or somebody that they're commissioning to do it for them, and you can maybe have a chat about what's an ethical way, an ethical win-win. Okay, so that's it for this workshop, and don't forget to join me on the next one, where we're going to continue how to get property deals using free online portals. So if this has been useful, I would love your comments, folks. Please do comment below, and don't forget to make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell notification so you don't miss the next workshop in this series.